What's up, y'all? Thank you so much for listening to Can't Lose Show. I know this is going to be a bittersweet episode because,
Just bitter. Fuck this sweet.
yeah. Guys, this is the Can't Lose Show. I'm your host, Trent.
It's your boy Josh.
Guys, we're all faithfuls here. For you guys that are the haters that are tuning in, still thank you. I mean, it's a view, it's a listen. But the game did not go in our favor. Not at all.
Nope. You want to get into some moments from the game? What happened? What went wrong? Maybe some highlights, even some good stuff that happened.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we could go in reverse order because we started out the game so good and so we could finish on a good note, but that's not how the game went. So let's go how the game went. You bring up the first, how it started.
I mean, dude, the way it started, I was hyped. Of course, I think we always like to defer. I think the Niners, I mean, for a while now, they've felt like we've liked to defer and go play defense first. But hey, we got the ball driving down their throat. I mean, about 10 yards of play. And then the CMC fumble. I mean, real early, and it wasn't a game changer or anything, but it was a big moment, and it hurt because we were driving that drive.
Yeah, there was points on the board opportunity via field goal, or it seemed like going to be a touchdown that drive.
Yeah.
But the good thing is our defense really held it together because you think about it, the first 4 drives for Kansas City following that fumble, it resulted in a fumble for Casey or a punt within the first 5 plays of each 4 of those drives. So you couldn't ask for a better start from your defense there.
They were balling out of control. I mean, dude, I guess we'll just bring it up now while we're here. The guy that was balling out of his mind, Dre Greenlaw, dude, playing like a beast.
Shout out the shirt. Tell me to zoom in when I'm editing because that shirt is dope.
It's a dope shirt. I mean, it represents him well. He's a beast. And dude, he was playing like, I mean, you saw the energy he was bringing just after every play, every tackle he was in. He was smacking his helmet, flexing. I mean, even when he's about to go in and, unfortunately tears his Achilles, he was jumping up and down, just hyped.
Ready to get back in there.
Yeah, he wanted it bad. He was a man on a mission.
And a big reason why we held Kelsey to absolutely nothing in the first half because our game plan was very well executed with him guarding him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you got 2 fast linebackers like that both played DB in their careers, not in their pro career, but college, high school careers, they played DB. They're fast. They're physical, too. I mean, they could do it all. And they were showing it well, dude. That duo is going to be dynamic for years to come.
Yeah. We're hyping up our defense. First thing that comes to mind with our offense, I think you want to talk about your boy JJ.
Dude, I mean, that pass to see him. Who would have thought that was coming in the Super Bowl, bro? I mean, I love the big plays when you get tricky, get creative. I mean, why not? Pull out all the stops.
You ain't got nothing left to you don't have another game to show it.
So that was huge. I think, dude, that was such a sick play. I mean, McCaffrey was running free. They said, JJ actually said there was another option. The first option was to tight end Willis but he was triple covered, I guess. And Juwan Jennings was actually rated higher than I think any of the QBs in the playoffs this season when he was in high school. He was top 5 quarterback.
It looked natural.
Yeah,
it looked natural.
He made the right decision, threw it to CMC and threw a tutty.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I think I texted you right when it happened. I was like, whoever put JJ on to throw the first touchdown pass is just one big
Yeah, I mean, someone in his family probably bet that for shits and gigs, and they cashed out.
Yeah. Shoot, I think does that really kind of end the first half type of stuff? There wasn't
there wasn't anything else really critical. I mean, our defense was playing really lights out. I mean, like you said, the punt, then the fumble, then the punt, and then at the end, right before we get the ball back and take a knee to go into halftime, they kick the field goal. They had a nice drive. I mean, we did our thing to hold them to 3, at the end of the drive, but
both field goal kickers kind of were nails this game in a sense that both broke the record at one point.
Yeah.
And it just continued. And then coming out of half, that was a huge way to come out of half.
Dude.
But, let me get into what happened, obviously. You guys, Mahomes made a huge mistake, overthrew the ball, picked by Jair Brown with a bright future ahead of him in this organization.
For sure.
can't wait to see him and Hufanga side by side
Yeah,
at
dude.
those safety positions. Like,
I mean, since he came in, really like
mm-hmm,
hasn't missed a beat. Been balling. I was really excited when we drafted him. I've been wanting us to draft a safety or a DB like a
mm-hmm,
little bit higher in those higher rounds, and we did it. Paid off well. Jair Brown is going to be a stud.
yeah.
What were you going to say about the interception though? I think you're
You know,
going into
I
something.
was going into something. Oh yeah, we get the interception. The thing was, all kudos to Jair for doing it. We don't capitalize on it. And I think that's a huge point of our two turnovers we forced from KC is we didn't capitalize off them. That
Yeah, I mean,
that hurts us.
the following drive, 3 plays for -1 yard.
Yeah.
I mean,
And we were
that's
almost in field goal position with that pick. Like we get 5 more yards, that's a field goal. At least 3 points.
dude, this is just looking really bad when you look at it. I mean, I guess we're done with the interception. We can talk about it. Our
Yeah.
next 3 drives, we talked about what we did to them their
Yeah.
first 4 drives. Our first 3 drives out of the half in the third quarter, 3 plays for -1 yard, 3 plays for -1 yard, 3 plays for 0 yards. So we had 3 drives, 9 plays, negative
Negative
two
two.
yards. That is, I mean, that's just
You're
horrible.
not going to win a
And
football game like that.
and obviously, people are gonna say Shanahan got away from the run. I mean, dude, we got behind the sticks early in all
Yeah,
of those
you got to
drives.
remember, almost every one of those drives started off with a penalty in some
Yeah,
sort of
or a
fashion.
-8 yard pass to Juwan Jennings on that one screen.
Yeah,
Like
it just was. You can't run the ball when you're behind the stick. Even with the best running back in the league for the NFL season, you're not gonna get 18 yards on 2 rushes. Like
mm-hmm.
unless it's absolutely perfect, and you have to throw the ball. So I don't really buy into all that Shanahan like went off the script because you had to.
Yeah,
Um, and then you're talking about those three bad drives in a row. We're about to get the ball back after a huge stop on defense. I think it was what 3 and out
mm-hmm.
in our own 20-yard line. We muff a punt. One of our guys going back to block hits his foot. Ray tries to pick it up, can't scoop it. Honestly, you just gotta fall on it.
Gotta jump on
You
it,
can't
dude.
try to pick it up.
Nope.
That's from Pop Warner days. You know when that ball's hot right there, you just gotta fall on it. There's no need to pick it up. Just fall on it.
In the Super Bowl, man, you just jump on the fucking ball. Make
Yeah.
sure you have that thing. Live to see another day.
Yep. And unlike what we would have done with their turnovers, is not capitalize on it. Casey capitalized on the very next play, and that hurts because they had no business leading at any point in this game, and they take their first lead of the day, and it just was like you got stabbed in the heart, and they're starting to turn it. You still have faith, but it's just that Patrick Mahomes, KC, like they're in business now. They have the lead. We didn't stop, obviously, because what did we do right after that?
Oh yeah, we responded big. I mean, what was it?
12
12 plays,
plays.
75 yards, and dude, Jawan Jennings was making his case for the Super Bowl
He
MVP.
was.
He already threw a touchdown, and then he goes in there and catches a touchdown, has to break some tackles and fight his way into the end zone.
Yeah.
I mean,
And on that drive, what about that ballsy call from Shanahan? People saying that he was off script, not keeping the team from like achieving their goals. 4th and 3,
yeah,
going for it, 4 yard catch to Kittle, who had only one reception on the day. Like that's ballsy.
yeah, that was a huge call, and I mean, he even said it himself. He usually doesn't make those kind of calls,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're in a game like that, sometimes it calls for it, and it paid off. I mean,
Paid off big time 2 plays later, like you said, JJ in the end zone.
yep.
Um, after that, sorry guys, it's just it kind of chokes you up in a sense. Like we're really big 49er fans, and the rest of the way out, it's just not that great of news. I mean, we trade field goals with KC, and we
Dude,
take the lead 19-16.
before we kick
Oh,
that field goal, bro, I mean, ultimately we'll probably talk about it again, but came back to haunt us later, haunted us right there. Our missed blocking assignment, McDuffie up the middle, unblocked, untouched. I mean, I think he was throwing it to Jennings on that play, who was open. I mean, third and Jennings, third and
mm-hmm.
Jawan. I mean, oh man, yeah, just mistakes like that killed us, especially when the other team capitalizes on it.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. We were trading field goals, and then
KC ties it up with like 3 seconds to go to send it into overtime. And overtime starts. It starts with a coin toss. So it starts with instructions on how the new overtime works. And honestly, I kind of forgot that that was the overtime rules. Well,
Dude, I
not that I forgot,
know.
but we just haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
And it it's something I don't know if I agree with Kyle Shanahan on giving them the ball first. Um, it's just or no, sorry, us getting the ball first. I said that completely wrong. I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know how I feel. I think when we won the toss and we asked for the ball, I mean, to be honest, maybe it was because I'm just so used to the like old playoff or the old overtime rules that I was like, hell yeah, we got the ball, we go down there and score. But I mean, hindsight's 2020, like I said to you in tech when we were talking earlier. It's just, I mean, they talked about it. It was an 11 play drive before that
Yeah, you
that the
have to
defense
give your
was out
defense
there
rest.
chasing around Mahomes, running around. I mean, yeah, I guess maybe the offense is tired too, but defense, you're moving backwards, you're reacting. It's more tiring.
And you really don't sub out as easy as
Yeah,
offensive subbing out. So I get that point. But then he goes on to say a day later, like we were counting on that third drive if it got there, like so he was anticipating we go down score, KC goes scores, and then we go score because at that point the winner you'd be the winner.
I don't know if he's necessarily anticipating that. He's
Or
just
not anticipating,
preparing.
preparing for it.
Yeah,
But if you're preparing that way, why not prepare, give them the ball, and then go down and ourselves score and then go for two
yeah.
and kill the game?
I mean, especially when you give Mahomes 4 downs that whole drive. I
Yeah,
mean,
you. I think we played a little too soft. I mean,
yeah, dude.
I don't think I know we played a little too soft right there. I don't know, but it results in Casey's corn dog play for a touchdown that filled the game up, and confetti fell in the red and yellow that they are, and not in the red and gold that we are. And at that point, I stopped watching. I have no idea what was said in the or the postseason stuff. I didn't even know who the MVP was until after because honestly, Mahomes didn't play that great. I would say 3 quarters and a half of football until the last couple drives in overtime. And yeah, he clutched up, right? I mean, that's what the greats do in a
I
sense.
think McDuffie could have been the Super Bowl MVP, bro. I
I
mean,
thought it was going to be someone from defense for sure too.
McDuffie was clamping shit. He had Debo as a tough task, and I think Debo had 3 receptions on 11 targets. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we saw McDuffie had 3 or 4 of those pass deflections. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, then you have the pass deflection on Purdy on 3rd down. Like, he played out of his mind. He had a hell of a season, and I thought he was going to win Super Bowl MVP. Honestly,
yeah,
that would have been my pick. But I mean, can't go wrong with Mahomes either. He got it done. He
yeah.
drove him
He
down the
did.
field, and I think he threw for over 300 yards. So
Yeah. Well, we're talking about MVP. Let's just get into our dogs. Revisit it. See how our dogs did because we picked an offensive dog and a defensive dog, and we got to get into that. So, how'd your offensive dog do?
CMC did his thing, dude. I mean, it was a toss up. You know, if Jennings catches that second, it would be his 3rd total touchdown, his 2nd receiving touchdown on that final play of on that OT drive when
Mm-hmm.
we were driving down the field. If he catches that, it might be Jennings. I mean, but CMC was on his way to 160 total yards, 80 rushing, 80 receiving, and a touchdown receiving. I mean, he was definitely on his way to a historic game, and
A
I think
historic playoff run,
yeah,
honestly.
most yards ever. I think in the Super Bowl total
Mm-hmm.
yards.
Yeah,
So CMC went off. Definitely a dog.
my dog for offense did not hit. Um, and it's hard to say like he didn't play. He played well because in blocking he did good, but he only had 2 receptions for 4 yards. That's not going to light up the stats. Kittle was not the dog.
Yeah.
So for my backup dog, switch it out. I got to go JJ. Since you highlighted CMC, let's just highlight JJ for the reasons you said. Threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and almost had the second receiving touchdown. But
Him or BA. It could have been either one. I mean,
yeah,
you see, Purdy actually said in the just today when they're at the stadium and they're doing all the press conferences or whatever. He's like, "That's my fault. Like I should have hit BA on that. Like when I saw Chris Jones coming. I mean, I think that's so bang bang that it's hard. But
And Chris Jones is taking up the middle vision.
yeah,
Think about what he could see. He probably couldn't see past Chris Jones. Like
yeah,
only by anticipation he could have thrown that.
yeah. And I mean, Ayuk broke Snead off nasty on that route, bro. Oh, man.
I
It
hope
hurts that Snead was talking shit after the game because, dude, he got saved by his D line.
Mm-hmm.
He was playing well. We'll get into that in the matchup, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let me stop.
Defensive dogs.
Defensive dog, Bosa. I mean, I think I hit on both of these,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Bosa played his ass off. 6 total tackles, 4 solo tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits, and he was getting choked out and bear hugged the whole game, man.
The amount of times he gets held is just insane. And I don't know why referees tend to not give calls to the bigger names of defensive guys. Like you'll let the holding slide on Bosa, Crosby, Parsons, TJ Watt, and blanking on Myles Garrett. But then all these other guys, you're throwing the flag up right away. It's like,
yeah,
you gotta treat them the same. Just because they're the greats, like, don't make it harder on them. Like,
yeah. And I mean, I understand it's a Super Bowl. They were letting them play for a lot of it. They were both sides, both ways. But dude, when you get to the point of, we've seen the videos of Bosa getting held,
body slammed,
tackled,
in a sense, like
hugged, like it was pretty bad. And not one holding call on their line when they were coming into the Super Bowl, the most penalized 2 tackles in the league.
Yeah. And I'm not saying the 49ers didn't hold either, but it wasn't as obvious for most of the game like Kansas City's was.
And at least they got one.
Yeah, they got one, and
yeah. But I mean, ultimately, the Niners,
yeah,
they blew it themselves. It's not just the holding calls.
Yeah, I'm not blaming on the refs on this one.
Yeah, we just have to bring that up. It's just crazy how that shit slips by all season long, really.
Yeah, we're talking about our defensive dogs, right? I know we got sidetracked, but my dog, I would reward him a dog performance for the first half, and he exited before halftime. And I can't stamp a dog performance for a whole game because he only played half. But man, he came out on fire. You've already hit on it. Like, he came out of the gates on fire.
Say his name.
Oh, Dre Greenlaw. My bad.
They know who you're talking about.
My bad. Dre Greenlaw. I mean, shout out him. I hope he recovers and heals up. I'm sure he'll hit up Aaron Rodgers and get that fast recovery, so he'll be back for start of the season next year. And him and Fred will do their thing.
Yeah, dude, that was tough to see. I think he could have easily been dog too, like an easy stamp. The way he was playing, just like we said, the energy that he had. You know, he was a man on a mission. Wasn't gonna let anyone stop him. And oh man, it just sucks to see him go out like that. I'll stamp it. I'm stamping it with you. He's a dog.
All right. Let's get into our matchups. I had Kelsey versus man, meaning either Warner, Greenlaw, or Lenore. And honestly, a lot of the time, Greenlaw was on him. Fred Warner was on him too, but I want to keep shouting out Greenlaw right now because in the first half, arguably the best receiving tight end in football,
especially in the postseason.
Yeah, exactly, with the Mahomes connection, he held them to like absolutely nothing and frustrated the out of him because we all saw it. Him going in and hitting Andy Reid while he was in frustration, like, you just don't see that from greats like that. And I know it shows he wants it, and I'm not like hating on his character for that because honestly, if you're in that position, you're frustrated too. You're just trying to find a way to help your team out, and tensions were high. But to go back on the matchup, my bad. We held our own in the first half, and honestly, part of the second half too. But they realized who they could pick on, and when they were picking on Oren Burks, it's a smart thing that Andy Reid did because he's the backup. He wasn't getting all the reps against a great tight end. It's just that's a favorable matchup, and that's when he turned it on. He ended up with like 93 yards. So to say he won the matchup, it's hard. I have to say he won it, but he didn't win the first half matchup.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we were scheming it up well, and you're right, dude. They had the plan. They were stopping. They weren't going to let Kelsey beat him, but.
And it's not like we changed the scheme for the second half. It's just the difference in talent and experience. Mm-hmm. And that's nothing against Oren Burks. it's just Greenlaw's at a higher level than him, and that's why he's the starter. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Your matchup?
My matchup: Brandon Ayuk versus L'Jarius Sneed. I think Ayuk and Sneed, that was a great matchup to watch. I mean, both those guys did their things. I'm gonna have to give the matchup to Sneed because ultimately they won the game, but it was so close, and I don't think he was just clamping Ayuk the way people are saying.
No.
I mean, even in I love Brian Baldy's breakdowns. I love his videos all the time, but he was showing the Baldy's breakdowns of the Ayuk versus Sneed and saying how Sneed just locked him up. When in reality, I mean, Ayuk had a couple steps on him on most of the videos, and in the NFL, that's open.
Yeah.
That's open. And then, I mean, he even showed a video of him guarding Ray Ray, and I was like, that's not even Ayuk, man. What are you talking about? But yeah, I think Ayuk did his thing. Snead came out on top with the dub, and I mean, 3 catches for only 49 yards on 6 targets.
I wish we
It's
would have targeted him more
mhm.
because you're right. Like he did have the step on him. It just I think our offensive line crumbled, and for Ayuk's routes, they're typically not the short routes. He's usually on the longer routes, and when you have an O line that crumbles, especially on the right side, you got to get the ball out. And I think that's why his targets did drop in this game.
Mhm.
But I wish we didn't have to reward Snead this victory on this matchup because if Ayuk got the opportunity to get the ball thrown to him more, it's a whole different game and it's a whole different result for Ayuk.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we got for this 2023-2024 season.
Yeah, let's kind of jump into off-season stuff. Well, real quick, honestly, y'all haters out there talking your shit against the 49ers, it ain't gonna break me. It ain't gonna break Josh. We're gonna stay faithful. So you guys will keep hearing 49ers stuff. And that kind of leads us into our next thing that weird.
One more thing though, while you're saying that, I had a buddy tell me he's a Cowboys fan. He said, "Oh yeah," he said it sarcastically. I'd much rather make it all the way to the Super Bowl and get booted than get booted in the first week. And yeah, he's right. He shouldn't have been saying it sarcastically.
I
I
know.
definitely would want to be the last two teams, even though it hurts more, it sucks a lot more. I'd take that all day over getting booted in the first round, not making the playoffs, getting booted in the divisional or the conference championship, whatever it is. I'm taking it losing in the biggest stage over all of them. Obviously, we want to win. We want the Niners to win. But I mean, we're the last two teams standing, and the only people that should be talking shit are Chiefs fans. That's it.
Yeah, I don't understand that when people say that. Like, okay, we could bring up last Super Bowl, and yeah, that's just a straight fact. Like, okay, when our Rams fans bring up, oh, we have the most recent Super Bowl. Yeah, you do. Good job to you. But this season, you weren't the last two standing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I get the fuck out of here. You guys lost in the first round to Detroit. Like, I we're talking this season. We could go back all time, and then for most teams, we could slap you in the face and say we have more Super Bowls than you, you know, and our Super Bowl appearance is way it's quicker in time than your guys's. The Cowboys haven't made the conference championship game, let alone the Super Bowl, or the Super Bowl, let alone the conference championship game since the '90s.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but like I was saying before, it ain't gonna break us. We're gonna stay faithful. So you guys will keep hearing the content, and that's gonna lead us into off season. We are gonna take a couple weeks off, enjoy it, but let's address some off season needs right now. Resigning, extending. Who do we need to focus on?
I mean, let's just start with the number one priority of this entire offseason. Pay that man, Brandon Ayuk. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he showed all season long with the ball in his hands, blocking, whatever it was, hyping up his teammates, the energy that he brought. He showed that he's a number one receiver and that he deserves to get paid. I think, there's been some shenanigans going on already, his wife or baby mama, girlfriend, whatever she is, saying
Mm-hmm.
this could be the last time that she picks him up at Levi's. You got one of his buddies saying this is why we're going to Vegas. you got him saying cryptic stuff and saying, "Don't forget who got you here," and just all that stuff. I think it's all games. We've seen it before with
Mm-hmm.
Debo.
We see it with a lot of receiver market.
Yeah,
Honestly, you
you.
see it with
I
DK.
mean, you see it with just the whole entire free agency,
Yeah.
especially now with social media and everything. It's like it's just tactics to get people talking about it, make sure that the Niners know what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's gonna be negotiated for a while. Probably, it's not gonna happen right away. I was watching the Debo documentary the day of the Super Bowl before the game, and just listening to Debo's agent telling him, "You see Debo get the first contract that they get back in offseason. It's the first one that he gets, and he's looking at it and he's smirking. He's like, I never seen no numbers like this before. Like he was hyped about it, but then he goes to say, but then my agent was telling me this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it, this is wrong with it, and we're gonna keep uh, we're gonna keep negotiating and keep countering
Mm-hmm.
until they say we have no more money. So I think it's also a lot of not just the players want all the money, but the agents. They know what they're doing. They're trying to get the most money
The
out of
money's
these
there.
teams. Yeah,
Like, get the money.
and they want it. So I think Ayuk ultimately wants to be there. There's some insider news saying that he wants to be a 49er, but he obviously wants and deserves to get paid and wants and deserves to be more involved in the offense. He
Mm-hmm.
needs more targets. He needs
He is a
more
true
looks.
wide receiver one in this
Yeah,
NFL.
and he could
Like,
be very dangerous. I mean, short routes, long routes, intermediate routes, anything. He could do it all. We
mm-hmm.
know he proved it this season, and so he just wants to be. I mean, what is the word for it? He just wants to be paid for it. He wants to be
Rewarded.
rewarded for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree.
that's off season priority number one.
Yep. Let's stay right at the receiver position. Let's go, JJ.
Mm, a
This
big
guy's
one.
a dirty worker, gritty. He gets the job done. He knows when to come in clutch. It may only be once a game or twice a game, but these huge third down conversions, these insane blocking abilities to Gatorade bench, like
Dude, and he's
you
all
got you
yeah,
got to reward him for it.
he's all of that, and he's flashy too. He makes the big plays. He
Mm-hmm.
makes guys miss. He stiff arms guys like the guy from the Eagles and scores a touchdown. He breaks tackles and gets the first downs. He does it all.
Yeah,
He's so versatile.
I'm not saying he's a wide receiver one. He's not a wide receiver two, but he's a great wide receiver three. And it's those ones that you just can't let up or let go without at least a fight. Offer him something, hopefully team friendly type money, and hopefully he takes it and we don't have to see him having those huge third down conversions in
Yeah,
another locker room, you
yeah.
know?
I don't think you say he's not a number one and not even a number two. I think it could easily be either one. Maybe maybe not a one, but I think we haven't even given himself a chance to prove it just because
True.
of our offense, all the guys we have. I mean,
You
he's
know
a
what?
dog. He does everything. He's a man beater. He's a big receiver. He does it after the catch. He makes catches that when they're contested. He does it all. And I just think he hasn't had the chance to prove it. And I hope that he seems like a guy that just wants to win and doesn't care too much about that stuff. So I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him say he wants more targets or this and that, and he doesn't get the most targets at all. So I hope that that's enough for us to keep him, and I mean, keep
You
him as a
you
wide
changed
receiver
my
three.
mind 100% on that. Keep him, and he is a wide receiver two, maybe a wide receiver one with the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And if he does walk in free agency and we don't get him back, I could very well see him going to a team where that opportunity will be there.
Mm-hmm.
And watch, he'll light up some stats because he does everything right,
Mm-hmm.
and you get rewarded for doing everything right.
Yeah, and I know he's going against probably their third best cover guy a lot of the time, but it's not always like that, and he's still making plays on whoever's guarding him.
Mm-hmm.
He
And it's
just makes
NFL; they're all
plays.
great.
Yeah, he's just hard to cover, especially in man.
Yeah,
Big, fast, quick, does it all.
yeah. Do you have another resigning or extending that you wanted to bring up, or
Yeah, definitely. I got one. I think, I know a lot of people probably want to re-sign Chase Young, or maybe they don't. I don't know how exactly the consensus feeling is on him. I know Bosa wants to bring him back. He said it.
mm-hmm.
But I think a cheaper option and a guy who plays really hard, Clinton Farrell. I mean, another first round pick, I think top five, top three pick, and started off slow in his career, but he came to the Niners, and we know what we do with those D linemen, especially first
Yeah.
round picks. We turn them into what they're supposed to be, and Farrell's a dog. Maybe if Chase Young is willing to come back and not be too expensive, and he's talks about he's going to spend the offseason with Bosa and get right physically, mentally, and just
Mm-hmm.
make sure that they know, or the faithful knows, and that the staff knows that he's going to go hard. Maybe bring back Chase Young, but I think Cleveland Farrell could be a big signing for not too much money. And I mean, he's just a dog. He played well all season, and then we got Drake Jackson coming back too, who is also has a lot of potential. So
Yeah. Before you say too much about Drake Jackson, my guy, my second one is Chase Young,
mm,
and for reasons that you hit, but also you got to think. You brought up Drake Jackson. Drake Jackson's a cheaper option because he's still on a rookie contract,
mm-hmm.
and you got to realize how great Drake Jackson is gonna be in this NFL. He's gonna be a great Von Miller type player. He's so long, so bendy, but I think it's actually crucial that we try to bring Chase Young back at a right price. I'm saying it has to absolutely be a team friendly
Mm-hmm.
deal, meaning he may get money, but it's not going to look like he's getting a lot of money because it might be a bonus or it might be whatever the case may be. Because we gotta focus on our salary cap. I know we're going into it and it's going to be a long season, but for Chase Young, I hope he sees the 49ers as like, okay, they were actually interested in me. They invested into me. I know we didn't invest much into him, obviously, but taking that chance to bring in someone on that late into the season
Mm-hmm.
and when we could have brought someone else on, like that just shows what the team values you as. And so hopefully, like he says, like thank you and takes that team friendly deal. If
Yeah.
not, we have Drake Jackson and Farrell, like you said, probably a cheaper option that's gonna get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's also more needs that we need to address, and that's gonna
Well,
be okay. Go
I
ahead.
gotta get one more. I think
My bad. I didn't know
I'm
you had
really.
three.
I know I didn't tell you about this one. We didn't talk about it. I'm so iffy on it. I think Javon Kinlaw, he played a really good year this year. He was consistent, and he was doing his thing in the run game, putting pressure on quarterbacks. I think,
Mm-hmm.
there's been a lot of talk since he came into the league. We drafted him at what, the 10th pick or something like
Yeah.
that. I mean, I think, especially with the cap hit we're at right now, and we need to sign Ayuk, we need to sign Jennings, we need to sign at least one of these DNs. Maybe we trade Hargrave and sign Jinclaw or Jinclaw, Javon Kinlaw, because Hargrave, dog, I would love to keep him, but he's expensive, and I'm not only thinking about next season but the future. And
A lot
letting go,
younger.
yeah, he's a lot younger. I mean, letting go of a guy like Kinlaw right now when he just had probably his best year, it's a little scary, and I think it could be a good move maybe to trade Hargrave, save some cap money, sign Kinlaw for a lot cheaper, and
You think Kinlaw's gonna be cheap though? Coming off his best year,
he's not gonna be. He didn't.
first rounder.
He had his best year, but he didn't have.
Yeah.
Hargrave's cap hit is like 14 mil or something,
Okay. Okay.
maybe more than that. He's like the top two highest paid D tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, I no, I see exactly where you're going with that, and honestly, it makes sense. And for our D line, it's one of those positions that you know you're gonna get production out of.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether he is the top end player or a middle of the pack. And
Mm-hmm.
Kinlaw's gonna be a middle of the pack guy. And I'm fine with that as long as he's producing. And it sucks to say like get rid of Hargrave in a sense, but at the end of the day, it comes down to numbers. And
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I would love to keep
mm-hmm.
Hargrave. I really would. But what really made me think that is on the way over here, I was listening to the offensive players talking today, and then the defensive players talking, and then I also listened to John Lynch and Shanahan, and when they said something about we're not just planning for this next year, we're planning for the future, and we have to look ahead because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're not signing 1 year deals for everyone. There's multiple year deals. Not everyone's going to be in the league forever. So
Yeah.
you have to think about the future too. And if I'm thinking not just next year, not going all in, and like they said, their words being reckless and just trying to go all in on one season, I think maybe that could be a good move. But man, it would suck to see Hargrave go. He's a dog, played
Yeah.
hell of a season for us for sure.
Yeah. And then there's free agency. I mean, we're talking about free agencies that we need to re-sign, but what about what's left out in the market? A
Mm-hmm.
lot of players. I mean, every year there's going to be huge free agencies, big names, and there's going to be middle of the pack guys that just fill roles, and we got to address where we need to hit on that. So I'll start it off with O line. Man, we need someone to come in and play right tackle and beat Colton McKivitz out because I cannot watch Brock Purdy having to evade from his front face side any longer. Like, I understand we're probably not going to be able to go get the top tackle, Tyron Smith, because money issues. And I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But bring in a guy that just will come in, be gritty, and beat out Colton McKivitz and protect my quarterback's right side.
Or at least make McKivitz, have to elevate. And if he wants to beat him out, he has to elevate and play better.
Yeah, for real.
So I like that. I agree. Definitely a right tackle. I mean, just a O line in general,
Yeah,
probably.
right side of the line.
Yeah, get some depth. I mean, yeah, for sure. I think another one is a cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's some guys, Jalen Johnson. I really don't want Snead. Maybe it's so fresh right now.
It is fresh. It's a fresh wound.
It's fresh. Ward beat us in the Super Bowl too, and he came here now. He's one of my favorite players. But
Came right after the Super Bowl, right?
nah, he just got there last year. Last year was his first season with us.
Oh.
But I mean, it was. It would be tough to see Snead in the Niners uniform, especially what he said about Brock Purdy. But Jalen Johnson from the Bears, a dog.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was talking about, or we were talking about trading for him in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
So maybe now that he's a free agent, we go after him. He might be expensive. I mean, John Lynch always finds a way though, but definitely got to find a corner. If it's not in the free agency, it's got to be in the draft.
Yeah. And let's lead right into the draft then. Where I said O line for a right tackle, I think for the draft, let's go young and get a left tackle. A left tackle that could learn under Trent for the years that we have him. I don't know if this next season's going to be his last or he has one more after that or two more, whatever the case may be. Let him learn under Trent, and maybe while he's learning, put him at right tackle. Maybe that's the missing piece that gives Colton McKivitz a want to elevate his game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we definitely have to bring in, what is it called, like the predecessor or protege? I don't know.
Prodigy or I know what you're trying to say.
I
Just
don't
the
know.
guy that comes in next, the
Yeah.
guy that Trent Williams is going to pass the torch to.
Yeah, we got to adjust that in the draft.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one. I think, maybe we could draft a left tackle. I know sometimes tackles are interchangeable. Sometimes they're not. I know I heard Taylor Lewan say he could not play right tackle to save his life. Like, feels awkward. Feels like he's playing, if a lefty is playing right-handed.
The Lions tackle, Penny Sewell, he won't change over to left tackle, and he's a fucking great right tackle.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe just because if we really do have which sounds like we do, Trent Williams is going to play for at least another 2 years. What it sounds like. I think maybe we get a right tackle right now. We can always get a left tackle later, in the next draft or the next draft.
Or via free agency in 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I like that. I think, first round, it's got to be a tackle or a corner. And then second round, probably vice versa, And then third round, maybe a receiver because our receivers are all getting a little older. We're not going to have any of their starting receivers on rookie contracts, hopefully next year if we bring back JJ and Ayuk. So maybe a third round receiver, maybe even a second round receiver if we feel like we bring in Jalen Johnson or something, or a tackle from the free agency. But I just think, some of our needs for sure, tackles, I mean, maybe even interior linemen, cornerback.
I heard on a show, and it made me so sad. It's like, got to think about tight end. Kittle's not getting younger, and he's not getting cheaper. That's one area where you don't want to spend a lot of money, and it was like, damn. I love Kittle, and cap reasons in a couple years, it's going to hurt to have a tight end getting paid as much as he is. But he deserves it, but it's like, were they right about maybe drafting a tight end? We have young tight ends, though. Last year, we drafted 2 tight ends, one from Alabama, and I forget where the second one was from. They both just didn't play a lot this year. One was hurt completely all year. So I'm like, hopefully we're not drafting another tight end, but
Charlie Warner is a dog too, though, from
yeah,
Georgia. He's a baller too. I mean, he's a really good run blocker too. But yeah,
I'm
maybe
excited.
maybe draft one late. A tight end late. Maybe not this year
Yeah,
though.
I don't think this year. I'm excited for I it starts with an L, Latu or I forget.
Oh yeah, from Bama.
Alabama.
Yeah,
He's gonna be good.
yeah,
It's
he's
just he
big.
was hurt this year,
Yeah,
so I don't know.
yeah.
Is that all the draft kind of thing? I mean, this was a quick snippet. We're gonna be back in the off season at some point, but we're gonna take a couple weeks off, and then we're gonna get into. Go ahead.
UFL baby, where it's a new league, especially I mean it is a brand new league now
Yeah.
that the XFL and the USFL are combining. It's really a brand new league. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna be covering that sport. It's gonna be more football for us to watch, more football for you guys to watch and hear about, and I just think it'll be fun. Mm.
Mm-hmm. So to put it out there to the world, the Can't Lose Show will be covering the UFL on a weekly basis, whether it's in person or virtual, and we're gonna try to get some guests on and have fun with it and highlight players and try to get their name more out there. I know we don't have the biggest audience yet, but with y'all's help, just spreading the word, it might be that one play that got unnoticed that somehow gets them into the league. Like
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we're just trying to enjoy football and get other people's names out there for them. We have a friend or former teammate, Cole McDonald's, who's a quarterback in the league. So it's just like, why not try to put players out there? We may have another teammate in there eventually. Like, you just never know when the opportunity is there. And let's just highlight people and give them the chance.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like that.
But this does conclude season 2 of the Can't Lose Show. But before we officially go, let's just give thanks to all our listeners, our podcasts from Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anything that you watched our podcast on. I know we had over 20 hours of content pushed out this NFL season, which, okay, at hindsight, doesn't sound like, oh, crazy amount for how long football season, but that's an hour a week, if not more. And then,
All the clips you did too. I mean, we're not even counting that.
yeah, we're not
So
even counting
I didn't
that.
do any clips.
But also like just the production that we put into it, because it's more than 20 hours. Because we're here 2 hours before, 2 hours after. It's just it was a fun season. We had over 5,000 different listeners, over 10,000 impressions on our podcast. So it's rewarding. And then on TikTok, I know we didn't blow up this season, but that's not going to stop us. We're going to keep pushing it out there. And like everyone says on TikTok, it takes one video, one clip, and it changes your whole world. So we're just gonna keep trying. Instagram, y'all for thanks for playing our pick'ems. I know we didn't play every week towards the end because someone kept winning. Shout out Karina for winning this year in all football aspects. But it's fun to interact on there. It's fun to post content, and we're just gonna keep it going. But for now, let's just take a couple weeks off, reset, and enjoy life.
Pay Ayuk, please, everyone. If you're a Niners fan, say your daily, nightly prayers. Make sure God knows that we really want to bring Ayuk back to the 49ers. Pay that man.
Deuces.
Deuces.